attending the Docs Getting Control of Your Network with Meraki seminar. My name is Lawrence Moore. I'm the director for the Buffalo-Niagara region, and our esteemed presenter today is Del Mosin. He's one of our senior WAN engineers who's had a tremendous amount of success deploying Meraki solutions throughout the state of New York. The reason why we're hosting this webinar today is for informational purposes only, but it's also to ensure that you as our clients, our prospects, are also made aware of the various types of solutions and the technological offerings that Cisco Meraki is currently bringing today. So we want to thank you very much for attending. We will have a question and answer session at the very end of this. We'll also have a random drawing for those lucky individuals who were so fortunate to attend this session and this seminar. We want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Again, I'm sure you're going to enjoy our presentation. For those of you that don't know, Docs has been in business for over 30 years, serving various verticals throughout the state of New York. We're one of the few organizations that truly pride ourselves on continuous education. Our organization is realistically made up of 4 engineers, a ratio of 4 engineers to every 1 salesperson. So what that typically means is that you're always getting a professional in your environment who's never learning on your dime. So we do appreciate you being here. We hope that you do enjoy this, that you're getting something out of it. And with no further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Dale. Dale, please take the floor.
Lawrence, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. As Lawrence said, I'm going to go through Meraki and what we think is unique about Meraki and why we like to go ahead and stand by, support this product, and bring it to our clients' attention. Everybody has a raised hand icon. If at any time you have a question, please feel free to go ahead, raise your hand, or go ahead and type it in the chat window, and we'll try to get them answered. I'm going to try to leave about 10-15 minutes towards the end so that we can go ahead and answer any questions that you guys may have. So moving along. The first big thing is Meraki's really moving into this cloud networking strategy. What is cloud networking? Basically, it's a management control from up in the cloud, someplace on the internet, giving the centralized management, visibility, and control of different networking devices. By doing that, it truly minimizes your cost and complexity of appliances out there. You've got Cisco, you've got other competitors out there that have these controller-based appliances, or software that can ride on a Windows or a Linux server to manage different access points, firewalls, whatnot. And that all costs money and everything. So this whole cloud networking concept is something that really, as a society, we're having to embrace. So it's giving that management control via the cloud from anywhere. What is the Meraki story? I could go how it was founded, but I don't really want to do that. Cisco purchased Meraki. Meraki is a cloud networking company in which they do different appliances. Their pride and joy is layer 7 device and application visibility. They have the ability for web-based diagnostics. Everything's online, up in the cloud, on the internet, where we can log in securely, see our own environment. You, as a client, can go ahead and log in and see your environment, whatnot. And because it's all web-based, it's very easy to deploy, very easy to manage. The deployment piece, you could have a replacement device or even a brand new one shipped out to where you want it installed. Go ahead and walk an end user through unboxing it, plugging it into the network, and everything's online. So Meraki, they do have some mobile device management out there. I don't really want to focus on that during our webinar here. However, I do want to talk about the 3 main product sets. Starting off, they have the Meraki Wireless. They have many different access points to suit from a really dense to a high density or a low density environment. They have security appliances, something that you could use for like a teleworker firewall all the way up to an enterprise-grade firewall. They also have cloud-managed switches, anything from a 2-port or an 8-port power over Ethernet switch or non-PoE, all the way up to 48-port PoE, non-PoE. They have 24 ports. They have aggregate layer switches that are just fiber only. You know, they have a wide variety of switches. So really, the meat of this presentation is all about the demo. There's a lot of different things out here that Meraki has to offer, and really just getting right into the dashboard is really what we need to do. So I've actually gone to dashboard.meraki.com, and this is the portal that I can go to here at the office, at your office, from my cell phone, from my home. Doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and log into my Meraki dashboard. Username and password, I get it set up. And it's going to show me my environment. Now, just to preface this, I have an 8-port switch, a Meraki firewall, and an access point. I only have a few machines out there, so the traffic that I've been doing today is kind of what we're seeing, but I think it'll give you the gist of what you can see out there. So right now, here's my interface. I have logged in, and it takes me to this network-wide screen where I can see the devices that are out there. This right here is an access point. These are a couple laptops that are out there. It goes ahead and tells me what's the last time it was seen, what type of usage it's having, what's the operating system. It also shows me IP addresses. You know, very, very in-depth as to what we can do here. I'm going to go ahead and show you what the topology is. We can see that I have a firewall and a switch right here. I do have a access point, which I'll get to in a little bit, but connected into this network or this container inside my Meraki demo, I've got the firewall and the switch. Taking a look at the firewall, just from an appliance status point of view, I can come in here and kind of get a help as to what is going on. I can see, okay, here's my public IP that's assigned to that. You know, if I wanted to see a gateway, okay, there's been a total of 4 clients here. These are the ports that I have. Now, you see that it only has 1 internet port, but I could have internet redundancy here. And this is actually a MX60, one of their smaller end firewalls, and yes, it still can have that redundancy. I can see here what type of internet traffic has been going on. I can see the usage over here over the last 12 days. Because I've put an address in here, it's showing me right up on the map as to where I'm at. Got some tools down here where I can look at DHCP leases that have been happening. I could do ping trace route. I could do some DNS lookups. I could test my throughput. If you had multiple devices, you know, we could go ahead and blink LEDs or reboot this from anywhere in the world. It's a typical firewall. You know, I can go ahead and come in here and configure it. I can create different VLANs. Like right here, I will just create the 100 VLAN, 72.30.100.0. You know, I can go ahead and put that as 100. And I went ahead and just automatically created that. Down here, I can also say, you know what, I want to configure a switch or a switch port on the back of that firewall as on that specific VLAN, or I could make it a trunk, you know, if you were doing voice over IP or different things like that. You know, really the capabilities here are limitless. Again, you know, we can go ahead and touch DHCP. It's a typical firewall. You know, I can come here and add my outbound firewall rules. So I want to deny a specific workstation, or you know what, I want to block SMTP on everybody going outbound, but I want to allow, you know, my mail server at 4.100 outbound. You know, you can do that. You know, it's, again, it's top-down processing. The Meraki firewalls do allow, if you have a cellular card that plugs in over USB, you can plug that into the back of the firewall, into the USB ports, and then go ahead and use cellular failover for that and do different rule set for when it does fall into that area. Because the Meraki has that layer 7 visibility in here, I can add, besides just my regular layer 3 rules, I can go ahead and add my layer 7 rules. So if I wanted to deny anything to gaming or specific game sites, if I wanted to deny video and music, you know, I don't like people doing Pandora, if you name it, the capabilities here are, you can see as I'm going through the screen, you know, if I just want to deny Facebook, it can be all or it can be a specific app. I can also do port forwarding, so anything coming inbound, such as a mail server, a spam filter, you know, a web server, whatnot. Now, just because the management is up in the cloud, one of the things that I want to point out, only statistical management information is pushed back up into the cloud, such as, you know, I'm using this much bandwidth for web sharing, video streaming, things of that nature. No data that's getting transmitted through your firewall, over your wireless, through your switch is coming up to the cloud. It's only statistical information. When I make this change up into the cloud, within 1 to 2 minutes, those changes are propagated down to your individual appliances locally on site. So I'm not saving this just because I'm going through a demo. I'm just going to click cancel. As this is a typical industry standard firewall, you know, we have the ability to do IPsec type VPNs. This is compatible with doing site-to-site VPNs to other manufacturers such as Cisco ASAs, Juniper firewalls, Checkpoint firewalls, you name it. As long as they're running an IPsec industry standard VPN, it can happen. One of the beauties of this is if I was to have 2 Meraki firewalls and I want to do a VPN, you know, I would just put them in the same group, and within pretty much 5 clicks, I could go ahead and have that VPN set up, established, and working. You know, it's a little bit more to do an IPsec one that's to a different brand of firewall, but Meraki to Meraki, it's about 5 clicks and works immediately. They do have client VPN capabilities. The only thing with client VPN is that Meraki does not have its own client, so it does rely on the Microsoft VPN client. Active Directory tie-in is absolutely great with the Meraki. It's really easy to set up, and what they allow you to do is based off of groups out of Active Directory. You can configure, you know, content filtering policies, and it all integrates together very easily. We've set it up several times and have not had an issue with it. One of the other things that I really like about the Meraki firewall is built right in without any additional license set is the traffic shaping. Here I can either do it on a per client limit. As you can see here, I've got these global bandwidth limits where, allow everybody only 1 meg of internet traffic or allow it unlimited. But I can also do different rules. So I can say, we all have issues with video and music. So I can come down here to Netflix and go ahead and choose a limit where I'm either allowing it based off of the global bandwidth rule or I'm setting a specific limit. So I can say, you know what, I'm going to limit everybody to 100K. And it's just going to force the streaming to be, it's just going to force, like for Netflix in particular, we're going to constantly be spinning that wheel. But the traffic shaping rule, you can apply it per client or for the whole network, whatnot, and really do that traffic shaping. You can see we've got a lot of different great categories here. One of the other features we had talked about is the content filtering. They've got a whole bunch of different categories out here. We can configure it, again, so it authenticates with Active Directory, and based off of the groups you've got created and people in those groups, we can allow or deny certain things in here. It also allows us to do web search filtering, and it also integrates with the YouTube for Schools so that, with YouTube for Schools, you can publish what content people can browse versus just going to YouTube and seeing whatever the latest video is out there. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to the Meraki switches section of this portal. If I had multiple switches in here, you could go ahead and see them all. By coming in here to the switch, I can go ahead and get like a graphical user interface as to what the switch looks like. You can see I have an 8-port switch. There are 2 uplink ports. These are just empty ports in which I could put an SFP in there, whether it be fiber or Ethernet. I've got 2 ports connected. One is got the lightning bolt on it. That is means that it's got something power over Ethernet on there. And then this other one here has the blue up arrow. That means that's the uplink port. So this switch is, in fact, connected to my firewall. Hovering over that port, I can see, well, it's port 2. Here's the native VLAN. It's auto-negotiated. I can also go ahead and click on it to go in here a little bit further. I can edit the configuration. This is where I could put an actual name on the port. I can also go ahead and enable or disable spanning tree as well as power over Ethernet. I can forcibly set what the port is. I can also put it as a trunk or an access port, set all the VLANs. And this is, in particular, all the same information that you would go ahead and set from a command line on either an HP or a Cisco switch. When we're selected in here, I can get statistics as far as current clients on there, as well as what the packet information looks like. So typically, I've got a client that is set to auto-negotiate and it's acting very bad. I may go in there and look and see if there's any CRC fragments or collisions on there. And right here, right in front of us, we can go ahead and take a look at that. You could also run a cable test on that port. So as long as it's got a cable connected to another device that's powered on, you can determine the length as well as if all the pairs are operating okay. If they are not, it'll tell you what pairs, but the warning there is it's going to disrupt traffic. So you've got to be careful with that. You can also enable or disable the port. Inside here, we could also do access policies. So if you did have a switch in which, I'm using the wrong terminology here, my apologies, the port schedules. If you had a switch in which we had out in a public area and it was servicing clients and we didn't want people to access it outside of normal business hours, we could go ahead and put some sort of port schedule out there where weekdays only 8 to 5, we're going to go ahead and allow traffic and then apply it to specific ports. You know, typically I'd do that if I had like a training room where it's only supposed to be online for a certain period of time. But from here, I mean, you can see the beauty, the insight of what's going on this switch, how much traffic is being used. I'm going to go ahead and change my network over to my wireless network here. And this is really a great thing here. So I have my access point. I've tagged it. I'm able to come see it up here on Google Maps. It's integrated. I've got my access point right here. It's showing me 2 clients are connected. One of the great things is you can actually take your building floor plan and actually upload it here under topology, and then you can place your access points where they would be, where they are on your floor plan. So then from there we could go and do a heat map and see what kind of coverage we had, as well as how many clients were connected per access point. So in here I can dive down to my access points, can see my list. I can come in here and go ahead and select a specific access point. I can, you know, edit the configuration like I would a switch or a firewall. I can see the number of clients that are connected, what type of usage they have, how long they've been associated for. You know, this is really all great information. If I want to take a look at it in a different level, I'm going to come here to clients, and this is something I like to see. So this is here on my wireless network. I only have one in particular access point, but here I'm looking at applications. You know, for a purpose of this demonstration, earlier this morning I had one laptop up and it was just streaming Netflix all morning. I had another laptop doing some work on it. So I can look at the total traffic that went. It's showing for the last week. If I show it for the last 2 hours, I can hover over here and see, you know, I had a large, you know, about 1/3 of my traffic was Netflix. And then if I just go around, I can see there was some YouTube miscellaneous. I see some Citrix traffic. I can see some secure web. I can see some news. So, you know, it gives you insight and visibility into what's out there. You know, it's also showing me what ports were used on the network, port 80, port 443. What type of web content was out there. I also click this More button. You know, as I scroll through here, it's actually giving me that information. So I could go click on this Netflix and see, well, this client has been doing that. Because we have a descriptive naming to our laptops, I can go ahead and work on remediating that user or reminding them of our acceptable use policy. So this insight visibility is not something I typically see of just a standalone access point that I have out there on my network. All this is built in to the Meraki. I have the ability to go ahead and click in here to my specific client. I can see if there's any policies applied to that client, any rules out there. I can see what its network address is. Again, you know, here's that graphical pie chart here that we were looking at. Going into the configuration of access points, this is where it's kind of, the Meraki is really fitting what our corporate structure is looking at having multiple different SSIDs on my same one physical access point, one access point, many SSIDs, publishing our corporate network, our production network. So right now, I have one SSID that's enabled, published out there. That's my docs one. I could have, more SSIDs. I'm going to take you into this one here, this Meraki webinar one, and just show you what configuration it has. I've been talking for a little bit now. Does anybody have any questions out there? Don't see any hands raised, so hoping everybody's awake with me. So I'll continue on. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat window. So taking a look here inside our SSIDs, I can go ahead and edit a new one to go ahead and bring this on. Just like any other, I've got my open encryption, my pre-shared key. I can do WAP or WPA2. I can see my key here. We can do radius authentication. We can do WPA2 enterprise with either my own radius server or the Meraki. If we're doing some sort of open encryption, this is where I would typically see this at. Do you want to have a splash page? So typically, I have splash pages in which, for guest access, it's going to go ahead and either authenticate for guest access or, at least put your email address in and acknowledge that, you're adhering to our acceptable use policy. So I've got all these different capabilities here under the splash page. One of the things that we can do is we can create different groups for different device types, so that way we apply firewall and traffic shaping. So if you wanted to group your mobile devices and just give them a little bit of bandwidth, because everybody is turning it into a BYOD scenario these days, we have those abilities, as well as down here under addressing and traffic, we have the ability to go ahead and choose whether we make them part of the LAN or we can put them in NAT mode. NAT mode is going to give you that PCI compliancy in which you're isolating, firewalling those wireless clients into their own little network. They can get directly to the internet, but they cannot access any web server, any file server, nothing internally. The Meraki does have a feature that I particularly like, is this VPN tunnel data to a concentrator here. Basically, I can have a firewall at my main site. I can purchase an access point with a power adapter, give that access point and power adapter to my CEO and say, go home, plug it in. It's already set up. Your laptop's configured to connect to it. So when that CEO gives that, when that CEO boots up his laptop, they go ahead and connect to that wireless that's the same as their production in the office. Now they're working right at the office. They didn't have to put in any VPN credentials, nothing like that. They just authenticated, passed right through. So I do have a few different customers out here in Albany that have said, you know what, I need to have wireless access, but I want to keep it separated from my wife and kids. They've got their own computer that's infected more times than not. I do my business on my work laptop. So this VPN tunnel data to a concentrator is a real great feature that we have. We can also push your wireless onto certain VLANs and everything, so that way wireless is on outside in my DMZ. I've got an SSID for wireless phones if you're doing any voice over IP. The capabilities here are very many. One of the last things I want to get to or address here is that, we're seeing all this visibility and control. I'm doing it right from a web browser right here in my office. I'm just managing one interface, and I can add numerous devices. To kind of give a success story, I have a customer out here in Albany that has 21 locations that was experiencing different things from slowness to they had issues with certain ports or configuration with certain ports, and they wanted something where they could log in, look, and it was intuitive. Cisco releases a lot of bug fixes for their web interfaces on Catalyst switches, so it's not something that's recommended to be turned on. This customer actually went out and replaced all their Catalyst switches with Meraki switches. So they have about 25 different switches out there right now in which they can go to this one console, take a look, see all their switches, take a look at what clients are connected to that switch, take a look at which bandwidth is being used on a per port basis. So it's really a nice tool to use. It's just the insight and visibility into the network that you can't really see unless you're paying for a different type of management software or you're buying that controller appliance to manage everything. So I know I've been talking. We've scheduled about 45 minutes for this webinar. I actually wanted to stop now, give everybody, I'm going to turn the mic off, and if anybody has any questions, please feel free to speak up.
The Meraki solution seems to really help clients, at least the clients that I'm aware of, to save money in terms of their overall infrastructure. Do you have any examples personally? I think you mentioned one client that's using the technology today and how it's basically helped them with their operational efficiencies and cost effectiveness.
Yeah, absolutely. So in some of the troubleshooting I've done for some customers, typically if they're having an issue and you don't know what's going on, we've had to go out there and configure port mirroring, go ahead and get a laptop set up with some sort of Wireshark or packet capturing software to go ahead and take a deep dive into that traffic, whereas with the Meraki, I can go ahead and do a Wireshark packet capture right here. I can see what kind of traffic utilization is on a per port basis. One of my customers here that was experiencing slowness, come to find out they had misconfigured their video system. So instead of streaming activity only when it was detected, they were streaming 24/7, 365 at the rate of about 3 terabytes a day. It was overwriting on their video server, but it was causing a massive slowdown. So putting the Meraki in, within 15 minutes of that Meraki being powered up, I had enough statistics to determine that. So it really proved to be a worthwhile investment to that customer where they actually bought a couple more.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Were there any other questions for Dale?
Pretty quiet group today. I hope everybody's enjoying that snow that you guys are getting out there in western New York.
Yeah, there's quite a bit, so that's happening. You know, one of the other questions, Dale, and I don't know if any of our participants has caught on to this or have heard about this, but there's times when the whole subscription initiative, or you know, how does the licensing typically work with the Meraki products?
So the Meraki products are subscription-based. That subscription is giving you the whole cloud management and visibility insight to the whole dashboard. So when you typically purchase a Meraki, be it a firewall, a switch, or a wireless access point, you're going to go ahead and buy the device and then buy the subscription. The subscription is going to give you next business day replacement and access into the cloud portal. If at any time you don't renew the subscription, you know, the devices will stop working. You know, I have a lot of people that kind of focus on that, but this is no different than any other cloud-based service. If you're subscribing to an Amazon-type service or anything like that, you're really paying for the features that are being delivered with the appliance.
Great, fantastic. Thank you again. Dale, we do have a question coming in. The question just simply reads, how would this help in the fight against ransomware?
So basically, ransomware has been out there a lot in the news the last few months and everything. On a typical firewall, I'm not going to be able to see all this traffic that's going on out there. I'm going to go ahead and show on my screen. You know, I'm taking a look at my wireless because I don't have anything plugged into my switch at the moment. But I could go ahead and take a look at my clients out here and take a look to see what kind of traffic is going on. What's going on, what's being done on my network, and if I see something that looks suspicious, I'm going to go ahead and delve deeper into this. So I can look at the applications that are being used out there, the different sites, whatnot. The other thing is, you know, maybe on our firewall we need to go ahead and do some content filtering. A lot of the ransomware out there is, there's a term called malvertising. It's basically malware that's been injected into advertising. You know, when you go to, I don't know, you go to CNN and on the right-hand side of the screen or the left-hand side you see some advertising links. Sometimes malware vendors go ahead and just inject their things in there. So until you go to the website, once you're there, you get infected on your machine. So the content filtering can help protect you against different type of advertising malware infection.
Okay, great. Great. And then, Dale, there was another question up there. This is fantastic. Can I do LACP channel grouping?
Yes, you can do LACP with the Meraki appliances.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, I'm not seeing anything else that's coming in at this point in time. So if there's nothing else right now, I'd wanted to say thank you very much, Dale, for an excellent presentation and a business discussion about the advantages of Meraki and helping our clients as well as those that are deploying this technology to take better control, to take control of their networks. I'd like to thank everyone for attending. We are, as docs, we are open to setting up an additional business call. We can come on site and assist you with your planning and preparation. And you know what? Looks like, Dale, we've got another question that's coming in here. Just looking for it here. Bear with me 1 second here. Okay. Dale, The question is what is the difference between advanced security and the enterprise license?
So that's really taking a look at the firewall piece. So the enterprise is going to give you your basic stateful firewall, give you the VPN capabilities, the content caching, whatnot. The advanced security license is going to give you the intrusion detection as well as content filtering. It can enable web search filtering as well as YouTube for schools. If I remember correctly, the advanced security license also enables the high availability.
Okay, fantastic.
Hope that could,
Okay, Dale, I think that that does it for us. I'd like to encourage everyone to please reach out to the representatives that you're accustomed to speaking with at DOCS. If you don't know who that representative is, we'd encourage you to call us at the office. We'll be more than happy to assist you. We'll be happy to set up business meetings to help you with planning and implementation. You can also go to our website and take a look at our blogs, our tips and our tricks that are out there. We're also an organization that sends out newsletters about what's happening in throughout the industry. We also promote something called the Security Digest, and you can follow us and like us on the various social media tracks that are out there as well. So we're always looking to bring information and education to you, and in order to make what you do a little bit easier. Again, my name is Lawrence Moore. I'm the Regional Director for DOCS here in the Buffalo-Niagara region. This is Dale Musson, our Senior WAN Engineer. We thank you for being a part of this presentation today.
thank you, everyone. Have a great day.